Year A, Lesson 16, Learning and Unlearning. Friday's lesson is entitled The Next Step. Memory verse. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. Our Bible reference is found in Exodus chapter 3 verse 1 until chapter 4 verse 28. While Moses was herding sheep close to Mount Sinai, also called Horeb, one day, he was amazed to see a bush on fire, but it wasn't burning up. He must have been even more amazed when a voice spoke to him from the fire. What did the voice say? Exodus chapter 3 verses 1 to 10. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. No wonder Moses covered his face as he listened to God speak. Many thoughts must have rushed through his mind. God was still planning to use him. But how could he possibly do what God was telling him to do? Immediately, Moses began making excuses. He hadn't spoken the Egyptian language for 40 years. How could he speak it well enough to Pharaoh and his palace officers? How would he answer the Israelites if they asked who had sent him? And why would anyone believe him? God answered all his excuses, but Moses still felt he wasn't able to do such a huge and important job. So, what miraculous signs were given to convince him and others that God had chosen him for his job? Exodus chapter 4 verses 1 to 9. And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. That they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And, behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it came to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. But even after those signs, Moses begged God to choose someone else. And even though God wasn't pleased that Moses was still so fearful, he agreed to let his brother Aaron be his helper. Finally, Moses agreed to return to Egypt. Moses and his family were soon on their way, but he decided that the hardships in Egypt would be too much for his wife and sons, so he sent them back home, and he went on to meet Aaron. Let's apply it. Another reason Moses didn't want to obey God's command to return to Egypt was his fear of Pharaoh. That tested Moses' faith. But when he started to obey, God told him that Pharaoh, who had wanted to kill him, was dead. And sometimes God tests our faith by not helping us until we obey.